Welcome to Try By Podcast, a show where a bunch of want-to-be experts analyse and criticise and generally shit on Game of Thrones
You change that
in
every week.
relation to... Shut the fuck up, Tim. In relation to the far superior book series A Song of Ice and Fire. I am Phil, and I'm an of Donald Noy. Everyone else who's here, give yourselves a little introduction.
I'm Tim of Donald Loy, and to me, you've all been dead for centuries.
I'm Malcolm, admin of Oberyn Martell, Rhaegar Targaryen, Sons of the Harpy, Mag the Mighty.
I'm Danzie and I'm not dead. Sorry, go ahead, Malcolm.
I was trying to remember the rest of my pages.
There are 1,000 of them. How are you meant to remember them, Malcolm?
There's too many. That's the...
I feel kind of bad. I don't remember any other ones.
Alright, well, you said enough. There are others. We only link 2 in the description.
There's Bowen Marsh, which I had to get back.
Okay, everybody, if you just want to unplug your headset, go get a snack while Malcolm finishes listing off all of his pages. And we'll say, maybe come back in like 5 minutes. Alright, thanks. We'll see you then.
Hold on. If we're getting a 5-minute break, I'll just forget naming them all and play The Witcher.
No.
Oh, fucking God.
Look, alright.
We're here to talk about Game of Thrones.
Alright,
Which is
continuing on.
brilliant. But we're not talking about it. Mostly because I haven't finished it. But we're not talking about it on here yet. So we have a somewhat light skeleton crew, you might say, for our podcast today. Mostly because Devon hasn't fucking shown up because he's a bitch.
Because we're all literally skeletons. Woo!
Tim did say we were all dead.
That too.
Yeah.
And, we haven't
And
discussed
McCracken.
episode 6 either, so we're doing 2 and...
We'll be
Right.
doing 2 episodes, or at least the controversial scenes from episode 6.
because, should we not talk about the positives of episode 6? Well, otherwise...
Actually, yeah, because I really liked episode 6.
we're getting the
I suppose
people
We're going to talk about it all. We will get there.
If it takes us
Don't
2 hours...
worry,
we
gentle
haven't done a
listeners.
2-hour podcast in a while, so...
Open your ears and your hearts to our voices, and we will tell you all
Lend
about
your
episodes... Yes, exactly. Episodes 6 and 7.
Of Game of Thrones.
Our gentle series, Game of Thrones.
Alright, so,
Oh, it's not gentle at all.
leading straight into episode 6.
No, it's
Something
quite
like-
rough and non-consensual, one
reverse.
might say.
We will, but without Devon, I'm going to have to do the introduction to the episode as the read-through. I apologise,
It
it's
won't
not
be
going
as
to be as good. So we start off with Arya essentially massaging a corpse, and then the waif comes in and chats a bit of shit. Jaqen then ships Sanria, because Tumblr obviously infected the writing crew.
Yeah.
Next up we have the 1.5 Men on the Beach episode, whatever episode we're up to, and they both discuss how their dads are dead. It's not particularly enjoyable, but hey, bonding.
The beach is very pretty. The beach is pretty.
They gotta find a place to bond, I suppose.
Totally.
Then Arya goes and lies to a girl, which ends up killing her. So then she does a bit more corpse massaging and gets taken to a room full of dead people's faces, which is always nice, although one does tend to wonder why the hell they have towers of faces when they have no practical way of going up to get those faces right at the top.
What do you mean? There's ladders.
Maybe it's like a library.
But
and
there
they have,
weren't any
those
ladders. There were
swivel
no ladders in the room.
Well, I'm sure they don't leave the ladders up. They probably put it away when they're done putting all the faces up there.
I kind of imagine it's like a really fancy library where it's like the rolling ladder staircase that
But
just
we didn't
slides
see
back
any
and forth.
ladders, is my point. So I'm not...
It's put up on the other side of the pillar. You didn't see it.
Okay, fine. We'll discuss ladders later.
You
Next.
bastards don't interrupt Devon. Fuck you.
Sorry.
Um,
It's just that
Then
we
we-
have no respect for you, Phil.
It's fine. Then we
I
have
haven't
Jorah and
respected them
Tyrion hiding
since.
behind a rock until discovering that they've been discovered by some black slavers, who then
Did you have to
enslaved
mention
them.
their ethnicity, Phil?
This is all just flying to my head. Then they decided that Tyrion's cock is, somewhat magical. So
But
they're
not
like-
small.
Yeah, apparently Tyrion's cock is not small, apparently. But it has magical properties, so of course they're going to try and sell it. Next up in King's Landing, we have the brilliant tactical maneuver from Littlefinger to reveal his entire plan to Cersei. And spout bullshit, or whatever Littlefinger does.
Is getting card part of your plan?
Basically that. Then we have Twilight bullshit, and then we have the really shitty fight choreography that was Rumble in the Jungle between Sand Snakes and Jamie and Braun. Ending up with Obara Sand boldly declaring, "My name is Obara Sand," to a audience-wide, no one gives a shit. Then we have Olenna chatting shit to Cersei, which is utter destruction.
I like how you've written it here on our manifest. It says Olenna Rex Cersei, and Rek is spelled Rekks.
We then get the Tyrells on trial, and they get utterly wrecked by Governor Swan, otherwise known as the High Sparrow. Then lastly, we move to Winterfell, where Sansa tells Miranda to get fucked. She then tells Theon to get fucked, and she just about manages not to tell Roose and Ramsay to get fucked, but then gets fucked herself.
And then she gets fucked herself. Wow.
Yeah.
that was quite clever.
I like to think I can work some wit into these little things, even if there's no wit or intelligence anywhere else.
Then you didn't have.
Here.
But well, I think we'll just discuss episode 6 before we do the run through the.
I've got to like bounce my ideas back inside my head to get episode 7 going. So let's just start with Arya.
We'll start with Arya, which
Arya,
like as much as I bitch about the show, especially in season 5 where it's mostly fan fiction. With Arya, they've done a good job. It's accurate and it's quite interesting with the training arc. It's accurate. I don't really have any complaints about Arya's stuff.
No, I don't either. I thought that her stuff was really good.
And they
agreed.
They made the Hall of Faces like sufficiently creepy.
I was expecting more blood in the Hall of Faces.
Was there blood in the book?
I don't know, but the fan art I've seen, which I always picture the Hall of Faces being, is this really creepy red-hued room full of faces that kind of gormlessly stare at you from whatever angle you're standing. And this just didn't. This looked a little bit too formalized, perhaps. I don't know. That was just a personal thing.
I don't know. I liked it.
It looked impressive.
I thought it was good.
It was impressive. It just it wasn't quite as creepy as I imagined. That's not necessarily a complaint.
Right.
Malcolm, were you going to say anything? You sound like you were about to jump in there.
Malcolm, stop like the Witcher and just tell us what you thought about Arya's.
I didn't really have anything to say. I was kind of thinking, trying to remember. Y'all pretty much cover everything. I agree that Arya's bits in the show are actually really good. And I kind of like the way they did that whole scene in general.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, as well, especially about the bits with like.
It's sufficiently creepy, and like even the audience, like we don't know what's going on.
Mm. The Waif's actually quite good. Like initially, when the Waif starts like telling her story, I was like, "What the hell are they doing, giving the Waif a backstory?" And then she's like, "Am I lying?" And I thought, clever. Okay, nice one. Good one, Pogman.
Yeah.
You're redeeming yourself for episode 5.
Did Pogman do episode 5?
I think he did. I'm not sure. Might have done.
But there's not much like it was pretty good, and interesting scenes. Then I suppose
Jorah and
Tyrion. Because I watched the inside of the episode for this, and they mentioned about how Ian Glenn, like, with his like, because Ian Glenn, like, that Jorah never actually finds out that his father's died in the book.
No.
I don't think it's ever mentioned.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, he hasn't yet, anyways.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for Tyrion to bring it up, is it?
Well, Tyrion brought it up because he said, like, "Oh, I've met your father," and then he said, like, "The Watch will never see us like again." And then he realizes Jorah hadn't heard that he was dead yet.
No, I got that, but I mean, there was really no reason for, I guess, him to really know much about it, was there?
Well, Tyrion doesn't. If Tyrion does know it, but like, well, because the Watch wouldn't have actually.
They wouldn't have sent anything out about it. It really wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It would have just kind of stayed
until the crash. Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, because they did send it because Tywin mentions that like about them picking a sufficient candidate for Lord Commander, and like I don't know, Janos Slint or someone in the book. I can't remember the exact details. So they would have heard about his death. I can't remember when exactly they heard about his death, or I don't even know if Tyrion knows in the book, but
Right.
I think he probably does, but it just wasn't on the forefront.
I'm sure the Night's Watch posted it on their blog that they got a new Lord Commander.
But in saying that, no, I like even for a scene, because there are scenes that are not in the book that are good. Like conversations between characters about things, and honestly, this was one of them. It was about because Tyrion knew Jorah's father, and like only. And
you never see that you haven't yet in the book.
Jorah didn't really want to talk about it with Tyrion, because he couldn't really bond with Tyrion. Like it was the only person he could talk to, but it was sort of like. So yeah, I thought it was a well done, interesting scene.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very, it was good fan fiction. I mean, good fan fiction can be as good as badly written, even some of the better written stuff that's directed at you from the book series.
Sand snakes.
Well, yeah, the Tywin Arya scenes in season 2, and the Robert and Cersei scene in season 1.
And
they were both brilliant scenes.
And the war stories scene in season 1. Even.
That one.
There have been spatterings of excellent writing, even original writing from D&D. It's just this shame we don't see more of it, and that they suck at overarching plot as much as they do.
As for the whole cock merchant thing, I don't know. Just that line just grabbed me. The dwarf lives until we find a cog merch. I never thought in my life I would hear that sentence being said. Just.
It's a very good line. Cock merchants are interesting people.
Maybe Grey Worm will be the cock merchant. Got you, D&D.
We got you.
Forget you, George.
We got you, Cogman. So, do you want to go to the King's Landing or Rumble in the Jungle? It's your choice.
Rumble in the Jungle.
Alright, so...
Talk about something. I'll let someone else jump in this, because I've spoken about the Tyrion thing for a while. Right,
so we open the Twilight bullshit with Marcella, that's the one. And Tristan.
I was
about to say Randy, the words they both start with the M-Y. But, I mean, it's just pretty shit. I don't want to see these kind of, star-spangled lovers gazing into each other's eyes.
Star-spangled lovers!
Isn't that what... Star-crossed. It's Star-crossed. It's shit.
Captain America.
Star-spangled
man with a flag.
Sorry, no, star-crossed lovers gazing into each other's eyes, thinking that the world's going to be okay. This is Game of Thrones. They should look into each other's eyes just as a crossbow bolt flies through his head. Come on. And then we have the actual rumble, which is the oddly convenient timing of Jaime and Bronn doing their little ninja shit into the gardens.
I don't know about you, but I have serious flashbacks whenever Jaime grabs a female member of his family now by the wrist.
Like Vietnam flashbacks, right?
Yeah, I'm like, Jaime, no!
They had Bronn sing the Dornishman's War, which played into episode 7 as well. They added the Dornishman's wife as a good thing.
Yeah, that was a good addition.
Yeah, he's got a nice voice.
It's very fitting for Bronn as well to be jovially singing as he approaches the place where he's gonna have to fight a bunch of poorly acted
the whole
sand
plot
ninjas.
It was just bad. It was just badly written. The fact that Jaime and Bronn Like they're just able to somehow sneak into the water gardens where Doran
I
is
felt
shown
that the populace there was really
sparse.
Yeah, there should have been a lot more people, or at least a lot more guards. There's no one just going to walk into the water gardens of all places.
Let alone let 3 armed, bastards with weapons wander around freely, and 2 presumably guards who look really, really fucking shady, wander around the water gardens. And then we get the actual fight, which was shit. Poorly edited, poorly choreographed.
Oh, it's especially after Daredevil came out a month ago. You got that, and the fight scenes from Arrow as well, which we've been watching, and I don't know. Well, the Flash isn't really because the Flash is special effects.
Well,
so
Flash isn't a very good comparison.
Yeah,
even comparing it to the Watch on the Wall episode.
Yeah, we'll compare it to earlier seasons and earlier episodes, where they've had battle scenes, and it was just so fucking bad.
It was also horribly edited. This annoys me more than the choreography. It's just bad. It was just jump cuts, and you couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. Yeah.
I heard
I
someone
can't
say,
tell them apart. That's my biggest issue. They don't have any discernible personalities.
Yeah, you have to go with the weapons they're using. I think is the.
Well, in the book, did they have any discernible personalities, particularly? They're discernible abilities.
No, but we had Ariane instead, which was a better female character in the Dorn storyline.
Oh well, that's a point because they seem to be replacing Ilaria with Ariane, and they made Ilaria basically another one of the Sand Snakes.
Yep.
They all have Ilaria and the Sand Snake all have the same fucking personality.
Yeah.
In the show, so there's no kind of diversity.
Dorn Ninja Squad.
Oh.
It's a shitty ninja squad. They got beaten by they got almost
interchangeable ninja squad.
they got almost beaten by a chap with one hand, which is his wrong hand to use for a weapon, and a cell sword. And it was 3-on-1, and they're meant to be the doors to one of the best fighters in Westeros. Yes.
Yeah.
So one of them was using a fucking whip during fighting. What are you doing?
You're not Indiana fucking Jones. It doesn't look like that.
Well, that's what it made me think of. Right down to the really crappy costumes.
I don't know. It just I remember someone said it was something out of Power Rangers.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. A little bit.
I think I've seen better fighting on the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
they all combine their cars into one big super robot and then fight Braun and Jamie as their big super robot.
That would be amazing. The golden hand is the rocket that they blocked at the last second.
Yeah, totally.
And then we have Abara-san scream a true
oh god. It's just fucking
that line, the defining moment. It's worse than My Name Is Oliver Queen. It's worse than that one.
No, that wasn't a bad line.
It wasn't a bad line, bad context, but
it was bad
context regardless.
Because it sounded fucking badass.
But it was just bad.
Abara's line didn't.
It just didn't. It was just shit.
Was it acted badly? I think it was badly.
Yeah, basically acted badly.
It was bad delivery. Bad delivery. That's what
bad delivery and bad.
Bad liver.
Context.
Bad liver.
Bad delivery and bad context.
Yeah. It was bad. It was just bad. There wasn't really anything good about that scene.
And then,
you know what? How interchangeable they are to me is I couldn't even tell which one of them cut Braun. And I didn't know, honestly, until the next episode, because I could have sworn that it was Nymeria, but there was just so much jump cutting and spazzing around that I honestly couldn't tell.
I don't know, well, I was going to say, because I said this, when I actually watched the episode, when they're just about to begin fighting, Braun says, "Oh, for fuck's sake," which pretty much summed up my whole fucking feelings about the scene. Oh, for fuck's sake. When the Sand Snakes just appeared, I was like, just at the same fucking time as Jamie and Braun.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on what Danzie said, with the Sand Snakes and, trying to tell which one's which, I don't understand the point of the writing in it, but where they changed like what the weapons and tactics of each one, where they made Tyene use like the daggers, and that was pretty much Nymeria's thing. There really was no justification in doing that, so it kind of throws you out if you're trying to go by how they were in the books versus their combat in the show. Which
not only that, they've made Tyene less distinctive because she's supposed to have like long blonde hair.
Yeah, she's really blonde, and and in the show apparently she's actually Ilaria's daughter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Another kind of like, what was the point?
Yeah, it was just bad. So let's move on to King's Landing, where we start off with Littlefinger showing it all to Cersei.
What the fuck? Yeah, like Littlefinger, what the fuck are you doing? Basically.
I think that they're getting a bit confused between Littlefinger and CIA. Because they're going through retarded plans. Like, the plan is a retard level of CIA's plan.
Well, I don't. Littlefinger hasn't shot a man before throwing him out of a plane. Yeah.
Well, he's basically done, like, a Westeros equivalent of telling his plan to Cersei in all but name. Like...
Well, actually, should I mention this in the Sansa bit later? Actually, yeah, it would probably make more sense in the Sansa bit. But
it was just... it was a well-acted scene, but... Like, why? Why is Littlefinger revealing his plans to Cersei? It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that he knew that she was gonna get captured by the Faith, and at that point he was just like, I don't care, I'm gonna tell you everything.
I felt they did it, like, in the show just
But why? He's supposed to be smarter than that.
Yeah, I thought he just was kind of using it as more of a purpose, to be actually named Warden of the North or whatever.
Maybe.
They did specifically mention that that was kind of, after everything was said and done, that's what he wanted to be named. And I kind of felt like in the show they're dumbing him down a whole lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, and they're just kind of making him go on this huge power
he's
trip.
taking ridiculous gambits, which Book Littlefinger would
especially like where he got Sansa to admit, her little lie to them in the Eyrie. That was really dumb.
Like he didn't plan for that at all.
Like all she had to do was just admit everything going on, and that would have been the end for him.
But don't worry, King's Landing gets saved, because then we get Olenna. And that's fun, because Olenna's just generally brilliant in every single scene she's in. Especially when she's like, we both know you're not writing anything, so just talk to me. Like, she just doesn't have a filter, which is just so brilliant.
What I would have paid to have seen what Cersei was writing, though.
It's just like...
I like to think that she was just, like, drawing pictures of cocks, like, all over the page.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of felt that Olenna should have said more. I didn't really feel that she really... Most people that I've talked to, and y'all as well, have said how she pretty much owned Cersei in that conversation. I just really feel that she should have said a little bit more. I didn't really...
I mean, I wouldn't complain at more Olenna. Like, that would be an excellent change. just more of her. Just more of her.
Yeah, it was a really nice
total
saving grace to have her
everyone.
show up after that really awful sand snake scene.
Yeah. It was a breath of fresh air.
It was. Because I thought that she was gone. I didn't think that she was coming back. She kind of had a big speech of, oh, I'm leaving, kind of last season, so...
Well, it's probably because Laura's Marjorie, or Laura's has been arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arrested at that point.
I could definitely see the purpose of her coming back up. I'm really upset with the whole Loras being arrested thing still.
Why?
Because he's supposed to be part of the King's Guard.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
Well, yeah,
And none of this shit makes any damn sense.
Yeah, and he didn't sleep with anybody.
I really hate the show's version of Loras. Like in the books, I really didn't care much for him.
It's gay. He's a gay
But,
stereotype.
Yeah, I could kind of get past, the Renly and him. I could almost see that, and it was kind of not really in my opinion, but it was supposedly really hinted. But I could live with that. But then once Renly died, he went to King's Landing and just was sleeping with everybody.
It's because in the book it's subtle, like, but D&D, as we've seen, have the subtlety of a sledgehammer face.
Right.
Of Robert's Warhammer to the face.
Yeah.
Which also is not in the show.
Disappointingly, it's not in the show.
Actually, that's not true. It was in... Actually, this is getting totally off topic. Never mind. But yeah, it was in the show at one scene. You could see, like, the handle of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because
Is it the scene where Robert's too fat for his armor?
Yeah, that scene.
There's an image of Mark Addy holding it, I remember.
Alright. I might go look that up later. Because that sounds like it'd be quite cool to see. Yeah, the Tyrells then go on trial, and Governor Swan brings his full fury.
I don't know. I'm not sure about like having this way to like incriminate Marjorie.
It's quite a
It's
quite a clever way of getting around the changes they made from the books. I thought, like when is it Oliver or Polivar comes in?
No, like it's Oliver. Like, but like in this case, it's her word against his. So it's just him saying like, oh.
It was like birthmark. Boom.
Yeah, I know. Like when that happened, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake! Did they really use that shitty like birthmark thing as a fucking plot point? It just felt so.
I mean,
it felt so cringy. Just
See, what he should have said, I think Laura should have said, oh, he's my squire, he dressed me and undressed me a whole bunch, and that's why he saw my birthmark, not just, like, lunge at him and make it really obvious.
Yeah.
Because the squire
They've
probably
really
would
made
see,
Loras- This kind of goes back to what I said a little bit ago, where the show's version of Loras, and they've made him a complete retard.
yeah, guess so.
And another thing, I might be mistaken, but I guess she would in that circumstance, but would she really lie? Under
yes.
the faith and all that?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's protecting your brother.
That point of it, but I don't know, for some reason.
Well, she never has to give testimony in the book against like anyone, so
yeah,
can't really argue that she wouldn't. Like, I think in the like, well, no, because we don't know book Marjorie that well, because we don't have any point of views or anything.
No, Marjorie's quite the enigma in the books, much more so than in the show, where we know a lot more about her.
It's hard to tell whether she's just a pawn for a grandmother or if she's actually a political player herself.
Yeah.
Whereas in the show, it's quite clear that they're both players as opposed to player and pawn.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, and then like at the end of it, like when Marjorie's shouting out for Tom, and Tom like literally just sits there. It's like it's a computer and he's a fucking blue screen or something. It's just like
my thing is.
I don't know. You know what? I think that works because Tommen is supposed to be just like a stupid little kid, and I don't mean stupid like that. He's not unintelligent, but I mean he's young and he doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, like he just.
What was he going to do? Really? I mean, he tried to stand up to the faith in an earlier episode, and
he just walked up and then kind of was like, okay, and then turned around like a dog with his tail tucked between his legs.
Well,
scampered off.
But I think that works for his character, though. He's supposed to be young and not,
Well, see, the show, though, decided to make him older, and that kind of changes how he should act a little bit, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think he acts, like, appropriately for a 12-year-old or however old he's supposed to be.
Even 14.
Well, okay. Whatever, 14, 12.
Yeah,
I think it works.
Yeah, I think it does work. The way he's acted. Not so much his assumed age, but the way he's acted, it works.
Yeah.
Keeps within keeping of that character. Do you want to move on to Winterfell, or does anyone have any closing comments on King's Landing?
I feel like in that situation, it wasn't very, I want to say believable that everyone just kind of sits there and, lets the queen in a room with the, with the king and the king's guard and everything. I just kind of feel that someone would have gotten cut down.
I suppose so, but then again, like, the Faith have a fair... I mean, they had their own guards in there as well. Albeit they're in...
Well, I mean, like, the Faith...
They were in sheets, robes, pretty much.
Yeah, the Faith managed to capture Marjorie in the book, though.
Well, she pretty much... I kind of feel in the book, so she went pretty willingly.
I mean, doesn't it happen off screen? Like her capture. I'm pretty sure it does. Because it's Cersei's point of view, so it happens off screen. Or off page, rather. Plus, yeah, like, the Faith has a lot of, like, power, like, politically. Like...
Oh, just seeing it on the screen the way they have it written, it just seems like more should have actually happened, or realistically would have. But, I don't know.
I can see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree, but I do see where you're coming from. But I suppose the king never gave an order, so...
Yeah. I kind of feel still so they would protect their queen a little bit. More than just letting...
Talk about
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say Winterfell.
Winterfell. Oh,
right. Okay.
I've already written a post on it.
Yeah. All right. So if you want the long, detailed analysis on this, go look at mine or Tim's posts on Illinois.
Do you want to talk about your position on this, and then I talk about mine, or?
I'll give overall and general comments. I'll start.
All right.
Overall, I think all the Winterfell scenes were very, very, very well shot and very well written. Even if you take apart the fact that they are complete fan fiction, and that the actual arc doesn't quite make sense for Sansa's character, like the scenes themselves are perfectly written almost. It's also the scene with Miranda giving Sansa the bath, and Sansa goes around. This is Winterfell, this is my home, and you cannot scare me, was, that kind of sassy Sansa I really enjoy. Just because Sophie Turner can really pull it off. But as to the actual rape scene, which it was rape, just to clarify that one.
It wasn't.
Well, there's been a lot of contention.
There has been a lot of contention over this issue.
I'm not really sure how it wasn't rape.
Yeah.
People said because Sansa signed up for marriage and she knew.
Oh, for fuck's sakes!
She knew it was going to happen and stuff like that.
She didn't know it was going to happen.
Well,
what do you mean? She didn't know?
She knows the betting ceremony was going to happen.
She knew the betting ceremony was going to happen. It's part.
I kind of feel that
she makes it rape. Yes.
She pretty much knew the character of Ramsay too. And then seeing, everything that he had already done to Theon/Reek, and then just all of it in general, and then the fact that everyone in the North pretty much has heard of the Boltons, and it just kind of almost a given how messed up they already are.
I don't want to get too much into this kind of the political of I think we can all agree.
I would argue that it's. I would argue it's rape because
Just speaking my opinion on it really briefly and quick, it's definitely rape. It's just, I guess most people's argument of it, they don't think that marital rape happens, and it does. And even though
it's the most common kind of rape.
And even though it's pretty much a given that she should have known it was coming, she still didn't want it. She was kind of forced into it.
Well, you can see on her face that she's forced into it.
Yeah, it's pretty much, she's in...
Yeah, she's not having a good time.
And then just to touch on the next episode, her expressions afterwards, you can kind of tell the trauma that ensued, and that's pretty much the outcome.
Although, Sophie Turner did do an interview where she said it was fun to film. I believe she said it was fun to film, or like the idea of it.
I think she meant she enjoyed the challenge as an actress. I don't think that she meant.
Yeah, I don't think she meant that.
I don't think that she's coming out supporting rape. I think that it was sort of just something, most out.
maybe Sophie Turner really likes a kinky.
I
assume
really don't think that that's it, Tim. Or Phil, rather.
I am, of course, joking.
Yeah.
I think I need to clarify that before I get 1,001 comments telling me that I'm a terrible rape apologist or something.
You are.
Okay.
But
Cool.
no, that's what I was like. I mean, because there were a lot of like people saying that I like had an issue with it because of there being like a rape scene, whereas I don't because the series has like torture, has murder, mutilations, child death, etc. So honestly, I don't have any issue with like rape being used in the storyline. Especially you think about it in the books that it happens to Jane Poole.
Oh yeah, I know, and
Plus.
she gets a lot. She gets a lot more than rape too, and Theon is told to do a lot more than just watch.
Yeah. So I don't have an issue with that at all. Like it's the fact that it happens to Sam. So I guess I've said this in the long post, but because it screws up her character development, she's given like the plot line of a minor character.
Yeah.
Instead of her own plot line. Whereas
my issues with it is it Ramsay really couldn't necessarily get away with treating Sansa the same way as Jane Poole either.
Yeah.
Because she's well known and everyone knows that it's really Sansa. Rather than, where it was fake Arya, no one really gave a shit, but everyone pretty much knew it really wasn't her.
I mean, it's that it's because, well, as we've seen from the Elaine chapter, that Sansa is, because I mentioned this in my phone post, Sansa is actually taking charge of her own sexuality.
Yeah.
I mean, she seems to be kind of the dominating one with Harry the Heir. Like, she's manipulating him rather than... She's not the submissive one there, whereas in the show, she's not like that at all. I'm going to say it, because I would say she's the reverse.
That's my issue with the way D&D are writing characters. They're taking them, and then they're backtracking with them and pretty much undoing the development that they began with the character.
And
Exactly what they did with Jamie.
that's my issue.
Thorne.
Yeah.
It's an issue with the Winterfell thing as a whole, and it's kind of touched on more next episode as well. I don't have an issue with there actually being a rape necessarily. But of course we had last year. We had Septgate. So that's what we dubbed it because of the whole.
Wait, sorry. Which are we talking about? Are we talking about Jamie Cersei?
Jamie Cersei.
Oh god, yeah, that pissed me off way more than Ramsay Sansa did.
Yeah.
At least Ramsay's an actual rapist in the books. Jamie would never rape anyone in the books.
Yeah.
No. There's no. Jamie would never rape anyone in the books.
No. I wasn't gonna say that, but like.
Oh, okay.
You would never need to.
Other than this episode didn't piss me off as much as the Septgate did. Probably I was just so hyped for the Flash finale that nothing really just pissed me off.
I thought it was a really good episode. So far this season, it was my favourite.
I wouldn't say anything about it being a good episode.
But it was either
some of
unoffensive or just hilariously bad.
Everything about it was unoffensive.
Okay, all right.
Really?
Okay,
you
offensive
really
to me. Offensive to me. Do you want me to have to clarify that?
Fair enough.
For the time period, it's kind of.
Also, it was one of the best. This is going to sound horrible. It was probably the best shot rape scene I've ever seen. Okay, that's a horrible way to phrase it.
I think we understand that.
I understand.
No.
It's because
you know what? It wasn't done, in my opinion, disrespectfully to the woman. Well, I don't know. It's really hard to. I mean, is rape as an act disrespectful? Obviously, yes, it is. But I mean, it wasn't oh yeah, let's show Sansa's tits and look at her tits, and he's playing with them.
See, there were a lot of complaints that the scene at the episode was on Theon, and there were complaints. People said that they took Sansa's pain away from her and that she wasn't made the focal point. But the point is, if they made her the focal point of the scene, they would then complain that the scene was too gratuitous.
Graphic?
Is it gratuitous?
Gratuitous, yeah.
Is that the way you say it? Yeah, they would say it was too gratuitous. But if they So I think doing a discretion shot and showing like how Theon's responding it is actually the right way to do it.
I agree. I totally agree that ending it on Theon's really beautiful moment of acting by Alfie Allen, I think was the best way to do it.
It's sad that
would
is
be
the best like written and shot scene so far of everything going on so far, and like all the issues with most of the other scenes and just the writing in general. That it took that to pretty much go above and beyond what we kind of expect, and to actually be excited about a scene. Kind of as a...
Well, I mean, my problem is the fact that fucking Sansa's in the North anyways. Like, like, I mean, it's not out of character. Like, obviously, if Sansa had married Ramsay in the books, yes, she probably would have been raped. Like, there's no doubt about it. That's just what his character does.
Yeah.
But
and then the fact of the whole bedding ceremony too, and the time period, she really wouldn't have much say against it.
Like if she hadn't have been raped, would have been ridiculous almost.
Yeah,
like
if she was.
It would have been clearly a dodge this controversy attempt on HBO's part.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make sense for Ramsay's character.
Yeah, precisely.
Well, I mean, if I can give my final thoughts on it before we move on, like I don't have a problem with rape in media. Like, this is a very adult show. It tackles a lot of very, very adult themes. But I have a problem when you aren't respecting your characters, like with the Jaime Cersei rape scene, a lot more than I did this, even though I obviously don't approve of the whole big, massive fanfiction change of Sansa going to the North. But, I mean, for what it was, I don't think it was, I think it was okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. So do you want to move on to episode 7, or is there any touching comments on the rest of Winterfell?
I think. Well, there's. I mean, the main thing to talk about with Winterfell in the episode was the
rape scene.
Was the controversy. So I think we've covered it.
All right.
Should we split this up into 2 episodes?
That's what I was thinking.
That's not a bad idea.
How long have we been running for?
And on this cliffhanger, we will see you all next time. Shut up, Tim.
These are going to be shorter episodes.